This vlog is going to be all about chickens, or more specifically answering all of the questions we've had over the past few months about our back garden chickens and how many eggs we get a day, what it's like to have them, do they mind that we have their eggs? I've just been down and got 2. And what we feed them and all of the questions that we get. I'm going to go inside now, take my wellies off and introduce this properly. Right, what have I got for you? Oh my God. Oh, loud. Can you reach it? Oh, let's move that out the way. Okay. Hello and welcome to another vlog, and this one is going to be all about chickens. If I move this way, we'll see why I decided to film here. Chickens! This is a beautiful stained glass picture that my friend Ali gave me. And these, I know I'm already going off topic, these here are made from toilet rolls. This is something that Phoebe and I were doing the day before yesterday. It's half term here this week, so we've been doing lots of activities. She's actually got a friend staying for a couple of nights, and Dan's just taking them to the cinema, which is why I've got time to have a quick chat with you about chickens, or toilet roll animals. We made these using something we saw on Pinterest. So this is Phoebe's toilet roll fox. And we made a family of cats basically. So we've got the dad cat, which does look indeed like Dan. And then we've got mummy cat wearing an apron here. And then Phoebe did a moody teenager cat, which is supposed to be modelled on Lilia, but I'd say probably more modelled on Phoebe herself, being our tween. Anyway, that's all completely irrelevant. We've had lots of questions since we got our chickens in August last year. So I thought it might be fun to do a vlog where we answer all those questions, and that's what I'm going to do now. So the first question that we've had, and we've had this quite a lot, is why did we decide to raise chickens? Now I had to Google to find out what it means to raise chickens. As far as I can work out, it means maybe you have them from when they're chicks, which we didn't. We bought our chickens when they were 20 weeks old. They weren't quite laying, but they were pretty much at the point of laying. And we bought them from a local-ish to us supplier here in Kent. We didn't feel confident being non-animal people already to get ex-battery rescue chickens, but certainly if we were going to get chickens again in the future, we would do that now that we know a lot more about them. But the reason we decided to get chickens is because our youngest, Phoebe, was desperate for a pet. And I was absolutely adamant we would not be getting a cat or a dog. I did not want an indoor animal. I had no interest in getting either of those. And our eldest daughter, Lilia, is allergic to a lot of pet hair and dander as well. So it wasn't practical for us to have an animal living in the house. And then in 2020, in summer 2020, we were lucky enough to get away to France for a week. It just so happened we booked this holiday. It was in the middle of the pandemic, and there was a couple of weeks when we were allowed to travel, and we did. It was fantastic. We stayed in a lovely gîte in Brittany, and alongside that gîte was a big run filled with loads and loads of chickens, and we just found them so entertaining and we loved them. And that's what put the seed of the idea into our minds. And when we came back, we started to research it a lot. We did a lot of research into what it would mean to have back garden chickens and so on. And we weren't put off. And it definitely appealed to us a lot more than having, say, a rabbit or a guinea pig, because it was more educational for the kids, and also they were going to give something back in their eggs. And we just felt that for us, that was the way that we wanted to go. I have to admit, for the first few weeks, or couple of months even, I did begin to question what on earth we had done. But now it's hard to imagine life without them, and the pleasure that we get just from looking after them and keeping them well and happy is like nothing else we've experienced, and we absolutely love them. They've transformed our garden and our lives, basically, these silly chickens. We have 3, by the way, we have 3 chickens in the back garden. They are all hybrid chickens. We have a gold line, a speckled marron and a blacktail, and they are called Cloud, Peggy Sue and Hey Hey. Next question, how many eggs do they lay a day?
What do you reckon?
Chickens lay 1 egg a day, basically, though sometimes this can be altered by things such as, you know, getting a fright, stress, the weather. It very much depends on daylight, so they need about 12 hours of daylight in order to continue laying. All 3 of ours have laid throughout winter, and they have been out every day, and I would say they are definitely getting less, well, not now, but at the height of winter they were definitely getting less than 12 hours of daylight, but they kept laying all the way through. They're very young chickens, maybe that won't be the case next year, but we were very lucky to have eggs all through winter. Another question that we get quite often is, do chickens mind you taking their eggs? No, they do not mind. Laying is as instinctive to them as pooping and perching and pecking about for food. It's not something they do thinking happy thoughts of tiny chicks and babies. They don't do that, fertilised or not, they don't mind. And of course that's another point, we do not have a rooster, so none of our eggs will ever be fertilised, because the only way a chicken's egg can be fertilised is if you have a rooster. So the eggs that they lay are essentially just part of their cycle, the chicken's natural cycle. And yeah, so they lay their egg and then they just walk off and go back to being chickeny. That is slightly different in the case of a broody chicken. When a chicken goes broody, that means all of a sudden some natural instinct triggers the desire to sit on the eggs. Her body will stop laying eggs and she will want to sit on those eggs to incubate them, whether or not you've got a rooster or not. They can go broody. We haven't had that happen to us yet, so I can't really tell you anything about it. But once it happens and we learn a bit more about it, I'll be able to share a bit more about that. As the weather turned colder, we got a lot of questions asking, do the chickens get cold? Do they need a heater? Well, put simply, they're covered in feathers and they do a pretty good job of keeping themselves warm. Plus, we live in the very southeast of England where it rarely gets very, very cold. We do get temperatures below freezing sometimes, but not that often. And when we do, it's not for hugely long periods of time. It tends to grind us to a complete halt, to be honest. We're absolutely rubbish with any kind of extreme weather. So we haven't really had any problems with that. Chickens are quite happy to about -10. We do put extra straw in there, dust extracted hay, basically, so it doesn't mess with their respiratory systems. My sister calls it chicken duvet, because they can snuggle up in it. So we do put extra hay in there just for them to snuggle up in. And if things got really bad, as a precaution, we do have from Omlet a coop protection which fits over their coop, which is already insulated. We've got an Omlet egg glue go up. It's insulated to the right measure so they don't overheat, but it keeps them nice and warm when they need to be. But we do have the extra protection as well should we need to use it. So yeah, they would definitely don't need a heater in their little coop with the 3 of them and their body heat, definitely not. Do the shapes of the egg give away the gender of the chick? We have no idea about that one whatsoever. None of our eggs are fertilised anyway, so we'll never find out. But I've not heard that one before. Do chickens have brains? Yes, they do. It's very small, but very complex. Chickens are sentient beings, meaning that they can experience a range of emotions and feel pain. And anyone with chickens can certainly tell you that they all have their own individual personalities. Peggy Sue, our speckled marron, our biggest chicken, she's pretty chilled out. She just lets life go on around her, she's fine. Hey Hey's quite feisty and grumpy and a little bit standoffish and aloof. And Cloud is our friendliest chicken. She loves being around humans. She's not in any way worried. She doesn't get frightened by sudden movements or anything, and she's constantly wherever we are. When they're free ranging in the garden, she is the one that's always under our feet trying to see what we're doing, seeing if she can get in there, get involved. And all three are constantly curious and always know when vegetables are on their way. They can literally see me in the kitchen and they know it's that time of day. So they seem to learn habits and routine. But they are daft. They make us laugh every day. I didn't know chickens ate eggs. That's weird. So yes, chickens should actually eat their own eggs. They're brilliant for them. And I know it must seem a little weird if it's something you've not heard of before, but they're a huge source of protein. Production of feathers and laying eggs itself that's a hugely protein depleting process. Both of those things are, and eating their own eggs can help them replenish.
Girls, excuse me, what have I got for you? What have I got?
We scramble them so they're cooked, so it doesn't really it won't encourage an eating of raw eggs. Sometimes you can have a problem where chickens eat their own eggs after they've laid them whilst they're still raw. And to be honest, they are not lacking in protein at all. They eat layers pellets, which are fortified with all of the nutrients they need, so they don't have a kind of bodily desire to get more protein. But we will occasionally, as a special treat, give them some scrambled eggs, and they love it, absolutely love it. Peggy Sue, when we'd had them for a couple of months, had a bit of a day where she was not feeling herself. So we brought her into the kitchen away from the others and we gave her a scrambled egg, and within 10 minutes she was back to her normal self. It really perked her up. So it's, definitely something they can eat and is good for them. We also actually sometimes feed them back we clean out the shells and let them dry and crumble them a little bit, and they can eat the shells. We do have a shop bought bag of grit which we sprinkle out on the ground every day. It's mainly oyster shell, and they do actually prefer the shop bought oyster shell. I think our chickens might be princesses, basically. They're like, we'll only eat the name brand. But that helps, basically they eat the grit, and that helps with calcium, which helps with egg production and the formation of the shell. Chickens like bananas. I got that one a lot recently.
Yes, they do. I haven't peeled it yet.
Well, ours love bananas. They go absolutely bonkers for bananas. They love them, and they're really good for chickens. They're as good for chickens as they are for humans, full of potassium and all kinds of nutrients and vitamins and good things. They love them. And yes, of course, yep, they can absolutely eat bananas.
Attack of the chickens. Well, they've all got their own little pieces. And they've gone off to eat. Oh, you're back, are you, pigs? There you go.
Pop it on the pallet.
Yeah. Oh, you've got some on my wellies. Do you want some, Cloud? Oh. They're all taking bits off into various corners to
My
gobble.
banana.
And put some in their feeder. You have to go and get it.
I need to see you doing it.
They'll work it out.
Oh. Ours don't like pumpkin or sprouts though, and they're not overly keen on cabbage, if I'm honest. I've just given them a cabbage and they kind of pecked at it unenthusiastically for about 5 minutes, then made a big racket until I brought out some sweet corn, and then they shut up. What's the pecking order? When we first got them, my mum joked that we would probably have the first democratic chicken community, and they'd be sitting around a campfire wearing daisy chain crowns on their heads and playing the tambourine. And she wasn't far off, actually. If there is a pecking order, it's not particularly obvious. They don't seem to squabble or fight. Peggy's often first at the food bowl, but then she's usually too chilled to bother with it. And Cloud, she's friendly and curious, and Hey-Hey's more feisty, but everyone seems to have their moments of being first out the coop, first up into the coop at night, first to the food bowl, first to the water. There doesn't seem to be any kind of pecking order that we can witness. There must be, because they're chickens, but if there is, they've settled it and they're all very happy, because we can't tell who is head bird. How does the cat feel about them? So we don't have a cat, we have a not our cat who visits regularly and basically in the summer lives in our garden. And when we first got our chickens, she came and had a look. She could tell immediately they were too big for her to stand a chance of eating. So she knew straight away they were not for pouncing on. But she was curious, and one day she got a bit too close for her curiosity, and she got a face full of feathers and beak from Hey, and she's avoided them steadfastly ever since. So if they're out free ranging in the garden, which they're not at the moment because of bird flu, which I'll tell you about in a minute, Mia the cat gives them a wide berth and kind of scoots up the edge and hopes they don't spot her. She's not keen, she doesn't like them. Do you worry about predators? Yes, of course we do. Yes, we try to keep them as safe as possible. We only really have one wild predatory animal that's a risk to our chickens in the UK, and that is foxes. We don't have many wild predatory animals. Obviously we've got some birds of prey, but we don't have big enough ones around here that would carry off the chickens. We have foxes, and badgers are predatory as well, and they're carnivores, but they wouldn't be able to get in our walled and fenced garden anyway, and we don't have many around here. Foxes are a lot more wily and a lot more confident. They would get in the garden. We've seen evidence of them having been around the coop, but the coop is as fox proof as it can possibly get, and the run is pretty much as well, and we keep a really good eye on security around it. It's got a lip and bricks dug down, and it's pretty secure. So I worry about it less than when we first got them, but I do worry about it still. And if they're in the garden free ranging, there's always someone out there with them, because we can't take the risk. A fox would be very quick if it did get into the garden.
Finally, how long are the chickens in lockdown for? We don't know. They've been in lockdown since the beginning of November, and it's the biggest outbreak of bird flu in the UK that we've seen. So we wait for DEFRA to tell us. They have to be kept under cover. So we've got a tarpaulin on top. It's clear, so they still get lots of light, and away from other wild birds. And we also have a biosecurity foot bath, because we have to disinfect our feet every time we come from the garden into the run.
I'm gonna say hi!
There's nothing makes you feel more grown up than a biosecurity foot bath.
I need to keep it. Morning, girls. Hello, Peggy. Hey, hey.
Hey.
God, Peggy didn't miss a beat that we put that in a different place, did she? She put the handbrake on straight away.
It's Friday,
Yes.
and we're expecting Storm Eunice today. Dan has to drive to Norfolk for a funeral, for his nan's funeral.
Yes, I've got to drive through a red warning and an amber warning, although there is still time to change my mind.
Yeah.
I'd really like to be there if I can.
And Lilia's due to be in school for an extra revision, but I'm kind of hoping they cancel that because the winds are going to get up to about 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, gusting
right at
up
the
to
time
70.
she'll be in. So we've just been out getting the chickens out. We were going to put some additional...
I've got a bit of plastic in there.
Oh,
You don't want to be in there.
must have blown in there overnight. We were going to put up some additional sort of rain protection but we're just worried that's going to create a massive sale basically, so we're not going to. They've got their cover on the top, and I'm going to be here all day keeping an eye on them basically. We've just been laying some stuff down and securing stuff.
It's not too bad at the minute.
Yeah, but it's going to pick up in the next couple of hours. So I think we'll go and have a nice cup of tea and warm up and get ready for the day.
Yay!
You'll be glad when today's over, won't you?
Yes, very glad when today's over.
Where do you have to go today, Lillian?
Drama rehearsals.
Huh?
Drama rehearsals.
Yeah, she's got GCSE revision today and she has to go in, and they haven't cancelled it, so I'm going to drive her in even though we're only a 5-minute walk from the school, because she has to walk through the woods and I'm not happy with that. Yay! So we do a little outfit check. Lilia has amazing style.
I do.
Show me your boots that you got for Christmas. Ooh, snazzy. Phoebe's feeling sorry for the reporter guy doing the weather report from the River Severn. Dan's all suited and booted.
Well, just about. I haven't done my tie-up properly yet, but yeah, just getting some supplies for the journey.
Better get going.
Yeah,
It's getting windy out there.
give myself plenty of time. 3 hours to do a 2-hour journey. Do it slowly, do it carefully.
Yeah.
Be all right.
I opened the window to try and get a shot of the wind, but it was threatening to pull the window off its hinges, so I decided against that idea.
Only our chickens would be attempting to perch in a storm. What are you doing? Why are you trying to perch in the middle of a storm? Hey, hey. You're going to get blown off of there. You two aren't much better. You should be hiding in your coop. Stupid birds. We lost power just over 3 hours ago. Lilia is home safely from her revision. So we have no electricity, no Wi-Fi, no way of logging on to Google Classroom to do some more revision, although she has done revision with her revision books. Phoebe has gone to her friend's house, who is just a few houses down the road. His mum came to get her and they walked very safely back to the house. There's quite a few trees down, and that is why we've got no electricity, because a tree has landed on the electrical substation nearby. We've no idea when it's coming back on. Because I'm filming Lilia, let me tell you what she's doing, then I'll give you an update. She is doing quirkles, and we've worked out, you can see it probably already, I'll show you, that she's doing Elvis. So quirkles is like a painting by numbers type of thing. So you build up the image with shadows and you fill in each number with your choice of colour or pattern. That's looking really good, Lilia.
Yes.
It's very addictive.
Yes.
Meanwhile, in the living room, our cat, who's not our cat, who snuck in earlier and went straight in front of the fire. Oh, the fire needs topping up. Let's do that. Oh, you're all warm. Round your head. See this pile here? That was the ironing I was going to get done this afternoon. Oh no, now I can't do the ironing because we've got no electricity. So there's two things you're going to be able to hear. One is the sound of the wind whistling down into the log burner, just here, which is going to catch a light any second, hopefully. And the other sound you'll hear is a beeping, which is our burglar alarm, because it's connected to the Wi-Fi, which obviously is off because we've got no electricity. So it beeps every 30 seconds to let us know it's not connected, which is really irritating, and I can't work out how to stop it. I'll try to edit it out as best I can. Yes, we've got no electricity, and according to the UK power networks, it's due back on at about 6:30. Normally they, oh, there we go. That's just caught. Perfect. Yeah, normally they overestimate that, so I reckon it'll be back on a bit earlier. But because it's a tree has basically squashed something, I'm not sure how quickly they'll be able to resolve that. So we've had a bit of a lovely cosy afternoon. So I've been editing a little bit of this vlog, trying to work out how it's all going to come together. Still got no idea. It's mainly about chickens, and then it became a little bit about the storm. Dan is going to be on his way back shortly, and he got there safely. It all went well, and he'll be on his way home very soon. And I'm going to go and sit and do a bit of knitting, I think. Maybe pop on an audio book. Distract me from the beeping. Candlelight and solar powered lights, and the old torch flickering in a window. So peaceful.